going to these Christian-Muslim kind of dialogue kind of events, and some of them were very good, some of them were not so good, but they were all full of people, mostly, I'd guess, over 50, who are fine people and good people to have around. But it was very interesting thinking, well, where's kind of everyone else? And also looking at these people, many of whom were quite nervous and were clearly struggling with, am I allowed to say that? Or I've heard, and had all sorts of kind of preconceptions about what they should and shouldn't say. And I remember sitting there looking at these guys thinking, Joe, this would be great fun to do with teenagers. Because there'd be perhaps an honesty or an openness here, and we could have a lot of games and it would be noisy and fun. I'm a bit of a youth worker at heart, so I thought, wouldn't that be great? But I also thought, but if the guys we're here now had been doing this since they were 14, this discussion would be radically different. Whereas in fact, we're learning this stuff when we're 50 or whatever, and then trying to unlearn a whole load of other stuff. So what would happen if we grew up with this kind of just happening? So that was a kind of starting point for me thinking, how do we help young people live out their faith amongst their Muslim friends? Is one of the phrases I've often used. How do we help them? I've heard a lot of kind of good stuff that you guys are doing today. That's really encouraging. And I kind of got to this stage, perhaps where some of you are feeling that it's okay for me as an adult doing this, that's kind of great, but how do I help the young people do it? Is working amongst Muslims only a task for professionals and the experts, or is it something that we can all be engaged in? And I passionately believe the latter. I started to look at how might we get young people involved in kind of dialogue in a way that kind of keeps their own credibility. This isn't a way of saying, let's invent some new religion, let's all sit around the table and see if we can work out that we're all exactly the same, aren't we? But to say, how do we do this, recognising that many young people know passionately what they believe and they know that they're right and everyone else is wrong from all sides. And I came across this booklet called Towards a Theology for Interfaith Dialogue, snappy title, written by the Church of England, but it's quite good. In fact, it's very good. And they came up with these kind of 4 little stages of dialogue, and other people have kind of developed them in different ways. But they said this: first of all, dialogue begins when people meet each other. That kind of, we're friends, we're neighbours, some of the things we've heard about today that you've talked about, that just the sort of meeting people is a starting point, which is perhaps very obvious. Dialogue, where you start to talk deeply, they argue, depends upon mutual understanding and mutual trust. We know why we're here. We know what the agenda is. We're not worried that something's going to happen. You're going to try and sneak in a conversion while I'm not looking. We know why we're here. You're not coming in order to then report back something different. Dialogue makes it possible to share in service to the community. There's a photo there of some girls doing a litter pick, and actually we had some girls from the feast this last Saturday doing a litter pick in a very similar area, saying actually together as Christians and Muslims we can make the world a better place. And I know there's all sorts of examples where groups have done that and said we can make the world better because our two faiths inspire us to care for God's creation. But I think really interestingly they identified that dialogue can become the medium of authentic witness. And that's their words, authentic witness. That when we sit down with someone of another faith and talk to them, but just in the way that we welcome them, treat them, the way that we are with them, actually becomes a witness. If we've been identified as a Christian and we're then rude to someone, that actually witnesses to our faith, doesn't it? So how we get on with the Muslims that we meet actually can become a point of witness. It's not a point of total compromise. It can be a very powerful point of witness. And I found that those kind of little steps were really helpful to think about, that actually this can be a place where we share faith quite deeply, and we've seen lots of examples of that, which I'll kind of explain.